All right, man. All the other news I had to go read to y'all is gonna be more than what you're expecting. We speak to you about these TV legends here. We'll go to it right now. We'll go to it right now, man. Yeah, we got these here. These here we have some stuff about these OGs, the '90s. Some fads have died hard, like meeting babies and saying, and saying what's up. Others like fanny packs, flannel shirts, and high-waisted mom jeans. They came back as strong as ever. What a time to be alive. And what a time for these candy, hunky eye candy, any TV program you have to turn into, whether it's drama, reality, or comedy. The chances are a stud awaited. It says, do you like your guys a little nerdy, funny, buff, or all three? A few actors used their spots on TV to launch into incredibly successful careers. Even decades later, these stars are continuing to shine in all forms of entertainment. But others peaked and turned into forgotten stars of the '90s, as explained by Business Insider. The Business Insider has said that the shows of the '90s created such a long-lasting appeal that many were so like rebooted decades later. Yeah, to burying success. What will never change, however, is the memory of the first setting eyes on those dreamy male leads. What was your favorite TV series in the 1990s? And who was your favorite on-screen crush? Stay tuned as it's time to find out whatever happened to these 1990s television hunks. One of these guys will have to tell you here. Let's get started with this. Let's get started with these TV hunks. George Clooney, David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff, everybody remember him from Knight Rider and Baywatch. John Stamos. Yes, John Stamos. You know what I mean? He's this. Let me tell you about him in the 80s, in the late 1980s, but in the 80s especially. John Stamos, he landed his first big role as the Blackie Parrish character in the never-ending daytime soap called General Hospital. Stamos, he posted on Twitter, which was known as X, that without the show, I'd still be flipping burgers at my dad's burger joint. That's what he was saying. I'd still be flipping burgers at my dad's burger joint. But the actor earned his signature role as Uncle Jesse Katsopoulos in the late 1980s to like mid 1990s Full House television show. The charming Stamos alongside the young Olsen twins, that's Mary Kate and Ashley. Well, they're the Olsen sisters. And the on-screen wife, who had to be fellow co-star Lori Loughlin, who's already been in and out of jail because that college scandal, who later have appeared in like almost 200 episodes over 8 seasons of Full House. What would follow for Stamos was an up and down set of acting jobs on series like ER and Jake in Progress. It's always been a fight to get into talk shows or TV shows alone. television shows alone. He confessed to GQ magazine that he says that I think the Full House fame has been a blessing and a curse, which that he had added. Things turned around for Stamos. As a sexy doctor in the 2010s, he played a medical professional on a TV series that Fox had usually aired. It's called Glee. Uh, Scream Queens, he's been on one of them, and it's called You. It's called You. But in 2016, Netflix had rebooted a Full House TV series with a sequel series that was called Fuller House. With Fuller House, and then Stamos had reprised his role, and the show lasted an impressive 5 seasons. At the end of the run, in the part that made Stamos famous, he posted this on the Instagram app. The end of an era. Again, let's go back to Mr. David Hasselhoff. In one of the more epic opening credits on TV, Baywatch featured David Hasselhoff and his ultra attractive castmates running in slow mo on the beach. The Hoff starred as lifeguard Mitch Buchanan, and he appeared in over 200 episodes across 10 seasons. And during his long running role, the actor picked up he started picking up a world record. American actor David Hasselhoff has the distinction of being the most watched man on television of all time. He writes the Guinness World Records, all thanks to that TV series being watched, which it's at which is at its peak in 1996, had an estimated weekly audience of 1.1 billion viewers. Hasselhoff never matched that same popularity after the show ended, but he remained a public figure, and he had a crab nicknamed after him, as National Geographic magazine. He had reported that the scientists discovered a new species of crab called the Kiowa tyleri. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what it's called. The Tyleri, Kiowa tyleri of the Hoff crab. Unofficially, when I saw a picture of it, I laughed pretty hard. I laughed pretty hard. It's white and it's got a hairy chest. Hasselhoff told Men's Health that about the distinctive feature of the crustacean. Hold on, I'm not done yet. Outside of the sea, Hasselhoff remained somewhat of a national treasure in Germany despite a mostly embarrassing music career. His album "Looking for Freedom" went triple platinum in Europe. National Public Radio had reported, and amazingly, on New Year's Eve of 1989, that's around December 31st of that year of 1989, Hasselhoff has sang his anthem for freedom while hoisted by a crane above a Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall is where while he sang the anthem for freedom, while it's being hoisted by a what? A crane above the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall. I've never heard of that one. To an, to an estimated half a million Berliners. What's the word? Berliners? Yeah, he returned 30 years later to celebrate the occasion, screaming, 30 years of freedom. That makes no sense now. Mario Lopez, Mario Lopez, that the 1980s, 1990s television legend. The NBC series Saved by the Bell only lasted 4 seasons, but evokes nostalgia for many kids who grew up in the 90s. The Saturday morning show actually started off as the Disney series Good Morning Miss Bliss by a Screen Rant. A few of the young actors remained, but for the NBC version, the action was moved from Indiana, from Indiana to fictional Bayside High School in Los Angeles, California, and most importantly, characters like the popular girl who had to be Kelly Kapowski, who was portrayed by Tiffany Thiessen, a high school jock who had to be Albert Clifford Slater, portrayed by Mario Lopez, and overachiever Jesse Spano, who was portrayed by Elizabeth Berkley. Once the show ended, once the show ended, Lopez found his true calling by just playing himself. He transitioned to an entertainment journalist and superhost. Lopez remained a staple on multiple entertainment news series like Extra, which he hosted, and Access Hollywood for years. If that's not all, he also wrote a shocking memoir along the way. In 2020, in 2020, this is around prior to the pandemic, the Hollywood Reporter had revealed that NBC Universal, their streaming service Peacock, planned to revive Saved by the Bell. Lopez signed on to reprise his role of Albert Clifford Slater alongside the other famous hunk from the show, Mark Paul Gosselaar, the guy who played as Zach Morris. I'm not gonna deal with Chuck Norris. We're gonna deal with Urkel. Let's go to Urkel. Yeah, did I do that? That was a phrase uttered by actor Jaleel White in the 90s, but later he guest appeared on Family Matters in 1989, and then later in the 90s he joined the cast, and one which went on to be one of the most iconic catchphrases in television history. Back then, you didn't really know what was going on to be a catchphrase. So that's one thing. That's like back then. He says like back then you didn't really know what was going to be a catchphrase that was gonna stick forever. White explained to Entertainment Weekly, nowadays things are so contrived. It's like, oh, oh, we got our catchphrase, and they'll just drill into your head it, whether audiences like it or not. Which that White had added and said. The line came from his role as Steve Urkel in the sitcom Family Matters. It was a 1989 to 1998 TV series. He played the adorable character in over 200 episodes during the series of 9 seasons. Through a series of 9 seasons, according to the rap, this included his transition from being a geek to the suave ladies' man whose name is Stefan Urkel. During a later appearance, during a later appearance on the Dancing with the Stars show, White had recalled the transformation on screen and off. Playing the Stefano Kell character was life changing for him, and he said to Us Weekly that he said that after I played that character, that people started treating me differently. When I played as Stefano Kell, I showed people there was more to me to offer. He added, "This is after what he said that. That's after what he said that playing Stefano Kell was life changing for me." White continued to perform, and as of 2020, he has been acting on TV for almost an astounding 40 years. His first role came in 1984. His first role came in 1984 when he played as Van Morris, a child prodigy pianist on The Jeffersons, and he just missed out on playing Rudy Huxtable, originally a male role that happened on The Cosby Show, which that he revealed to Vanity Fair. We will find out who's on there. Um, I'm gonna get to Mr. Joseph Lawrence. Producers cast two talented young teenagers. Like Maya Bialik, I remembered her from her guest appearances on Webster. And Joey Lawrence, Joseph Lawrence, who decided to play the brother and sister in the NBC 90s sitcom Blossom. The theme song kind of a little catchy, but the show aired for 5 seasons as Bialik is with Bialik as the buoyant title character and Lawrence as the handsome and dumb Joey. He just saying whoa all the time in every page he had done. Why the hell he said whoa in these pages? As he explained by Digital Spy. He explained by Digital Spy. Digital Spy had mentioned about, oh, once the show ended, he transitioned directly into his next sitcom is called Brotherly Love, fitting given that the actor grew up near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, the Heartthrob released 3 albums in the 90s as a musical artist. Lawrence was influenced by the Philly soul music scene. His Apple Music profile summarizes, while two hot songs from his debut album, and the song was already been played on this throughout the end of the this movie called Cop and a Half with Norman Golden and Ruby Dee and Burt Reynolds. The song "Nothing My Love Can't Fix" that song was already been out. That came from his debut album, but it was in the soundtrack of that movie. And the song here is called "Stay Forever." They both charted on the Billboard's not the top 100, the Billboard's Hot 100. Lawrence, he continued acting and landed his big role in a 2010 ABC sitcom. His ABC sitcom is called Melissa and Joey. He starred alongside fellow 90s TV icon, which I remembered from Nickelodeon's Clarissa Explains It All, Melissa Joan Hart, in over 100 episodes across 4 seasons. Even with all his successes wrapped up into one, Lawrence had filed for bankruptcy in 2017, as first reported by The Blast. Things only got worse for the actor in 2020 when he and his wife of almost 15 years divorced. On the upside, Lawrence just became a member of the single and 40 hunk list. All right, we're going straight to another 90s television legend, Will Smith. Will Smith, he's been a rapper, I mean, prior to his, this is since he met Jeffrey Towns. Jeffrey Towns, who was a DJ, who had been his best friend in real life. They knew each other since the 80s, but they know each other very well. But West Philadelphia, born and raised. Sound familiar? Most 1990s TV fans can likely finish this intro song to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Per the Los Angeles Times, Will Smith, who's been last seen with Jeffrey Towns in the 80s and the 90s, invented his lead role as his alter ego. During his years as a Grammy-winning hip-hop artist, the actor could be suave, charming, and goofy, often in the same scene on some weeks that you spend more time with your TV family than you do with your real family. It's hard to say goodbye to that atmosphere. But we felt like it was time. Smith explained as the series ended after 6 seasons. Plus, Smith's career in film was starting to explode after lead roles in this movie called Bad Boys, when he started working with the likes of 1980s and 1990s television legend and comedian Martin Lawrence. Yeah, that's what everybody heard, right? Martin Lawrence. Yeah, that guy who's been saying "What's up" in every single page, and he ends up in this film. This was long after Bad Boys. It was Independence Day, but he was in films like Men in Black One, Men in Black One, and Men in Black Two. So he been two movies, two sequels. What kind of followed was an unprecedented success in acting. Smith earned the title of the highest paid actor of the decade from 2019. I was in 2019. From 2010 to 2019, there's many of his films during the as many of his this although I can never find out why, but although his many of his films during the decade weren't even blockbusters. Will Smith had made most of his money. He made most of his money through Men in Black 3. He negotiated a base salary of $20 million plus 10% of gross income from the film, which have earned him an additional $80 million. Outside of filming, Smith and his wife, the beautiful Jada Pinkett Smith, created quite the family dynasty. Their children, Jaden and Willow Smith, both pursued musical careers and became teen icons. They became teen icons, and they're showing that he's in touch with. I mean, Will Smith does what he can as a parent, and he's showing the world that he's still in touch with the youth. Smith is one of the stars of TikTok with 33 million followers as of August of 2020. That's that's like prior to the pandemic. Not worried about. I'm not going to touch on David Duchovny or this idiot. I'll go look for. But I'm not touching on David Elliott. Let me see. Jason Priestley. Fox's 1990 series Beverly Hills 90210 followed a young and attractive character who's living in the ultra wealthy zip code. Jason Priestley starred as Brandon Walsh alongside other future stars like Luke Perry, rest in peace. Shannon Doherty was still, I don't know if she was alive or not, probably deceased. Not only did the series popularize, let's see, Jason Priestley, I gotta find all this out. I don't know if Shannon Priestley was living or dead. I don't even know. Not did only the series popularize the teen drama genre, but it turned Priestley into a teenage idol overnight, who played the role for the entire decade. But afterward, the Vancouver native continued to act, but additionally started producing and directing for TV and film per Priestley's website. In 2014, Priestley had released a book of his. It's called Jason Priestley, a memoir. In an interview for CNN, the author talked about his career-killing move to leave Beverly Hills 90210 in the ninth season. I felt that the character of Brandon had kind of run his course. I had explored everything I wanted to explore with him. Priestley said this. In retrospect, I do regret leaving. He said this like actually in retrospect, like I do regret leaving. He mused. He had mused periodically. His co-star Luke Perry tragically passed away. Yeah, one person who have already he had missed a lot is Jason Priestley's co-star Luke Perry. He tragically passed away from a stroke in 2019. The actor had told Hello at Luke's passing was very difficult because Luke was also a big part of my personal life. His passing was so sudden and so unexpected that it was very difficult to process, and it's still difficult to process. Sadly, his other co-star Doherty, Shannon Doherty, and his other co-star he have known, Shannon Doherty, was diagnosed once again with cancer in 2020. Shannon was a big part of my life. Priestley had told people Shannon and I will always have a bond that is very meaningful. I'm very heartbroken about the news, he explained. I'm not touching on these idiots here. David Boreanaz. I'm not going to touch on Mr. David Boreanaz because I had no time to go deal with him then. Right. Those things already became more truthful than I expected. But that's it for all the news that I had to tell you all about these '90s television icons. Ready to be finished with this video here. We're in the stream and I'm out. We're in the stream and I'm out, man. I'm going to bed because they had this fog advisory that was waiting to happen. Yeah, I'm out. I got another day for me to do a live stream anyway. But I'm about to go to sleep. Good night.